Hello, friends. It is so good to see you. Welcome back to the Tabletop Tavern. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jenny. I will be your dungeon master for all of eternity. It's basically hell. Time is a flat circle, and I'm dungeon master through all of it. I'm going to allow my wonderful players to introduce themselves, beginning with the fabulous, the beautiful, the effervescent, the ringlady today, Victoria Shaz.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria, and I play Lione the Bell.
Hi, my name is Ryan, and I play Galen.
Hey, I'm Doe or Doe Deer, and I play Gress Littlefoot.
And I'm Pippin, and I play Ariadne and Kailte.
Alright, and so for those of you who weren't here last week, I'm going to give you a little bit of a review. I think there are a lot of things that happened last week, so players, feel free to let me know if I miss anything. But nonetheless, last week on the Tabletop Tavern, the party played an ill-fated game of poker at the Knock-Kneed Ass upon the invitation of Travis, more or less, in a bid to attract the attention of Tefine, the goddess of fate and, by extension, luck. There, they encountered a few familiar faces, including Marius Steele, Lione LaBelle's paramour of sorts. After a few bad hands of cards, the gang called it a night, leaving the winner, a mysterious stranger who sold them quite a few glass vials, to collect his coins. The evening wound down with no appearance from the goddess. However, just as the party began to assess the wasted time and bemoan the lack of any kind of deity, a familiar face appeared. This session is going to pick up right around where we left off. Last episode, Marius offered to walk Lione home, presumably the rest of you by extension, as it seems you are all staying at the LaBelle Manor. You arrive walking rather quickly. Lione seems pretty hell-bent on getting out of the whole situation. And arrive on the front step. I would like to assume, although you can correct me, that Gris and Ari are sort of walking in step, as are Lione and Marius. The elderly woman has followed you. Galen, you're kind of the wild card here. Are you going to hang back with her and kind of try to match pace with her? Are you going to try to get all four of you sort of walking together with Ari and Gris? What are you feeling here?
I'll hang back with her.
Okay. All right. So you
maybe
are
she
all
needs
sort
company.
That's so sweet of you. She doesn't really talk much as you walk. You all sort of like feel sort of this sense that you need to get away from the bar. That's definitely amplified by Leone's very obvious anxiety. As you approach the house, all of you sort of step up onto the stoop. It's very late out. Lione, you know that most of your family is probably asleep. Bertram does tend to be up at this hour. You're not really sure if he ever sleeps. You certainly haven't ever seen him take a rest. But you know that your mother and grandmother are likely asleep. As you approach the door, Marius kind of pulls you, Lione, aside, leaving Ari and Gris with Galen and the old woman probably 15 feet away. So that is where we begin, with Lione and Marius off to the side, having a private conversation, and with the three of you with this strange elderly elven woman.
Who do you want to go to first, Jenny?
Let's start with you guys.
Okay. So having not gotten much of a chance to talk to this woman who appears frequently, Gris kind of walks over and she's like, "You seem to be everywhere, but always when we need you. What do we need you for this time?"
Oh, I don't recall.
Oh.
I rather thought that you needed me, dear.
Well, we've been searching for a goddess named Tefine. The goddess of fate, if you know anything about her.
Nope. I don't know anything about any goddess like that. Oh, I don't know much about goddesses at all, I'm afraid.
Well, that's so strange. Chris kind of like looks over at Galen and Ari like, it's nice to see you.
Yeah, I returned Gris's look with one of like confusion because as far as I know, she's a merchant. So I go, I mean, I don't expect you would. I'm sure you meet many travelers behind your stall, but isn't it quite late for market hours?
Do you have a home?
Do you know how to play poker?
Oh, that's a lot of questions all at once. Well, it's true there's no markets, but sometimes we are needed for things beyond our typical daylight professions. A home. I haven't had a home in far too long, my boy.
Oh, well,
Far too
I'm
long.
sure Lione would like help you find a room if you asked. She has so
Oh.
many. More than she could ever possibly use.
I'm sure she'll offer me a place to stay for the night. And now, what was your last question? Something about games I know how to play?
Poker. We just played poker and it didn't go well. So I'm wondering if you know how to play poker, in case we need to know again? Well, Galen knows how to
yes.
play poker, but in case Galen can't play again.
I'm quite exquisite at games of chance.
Oh. Oh?
Are you?
Yes. What do I
Doesn't
seem like I
claiming to
wouldn't
be so... Doesn't claiming that go against the very nature of games of chance?
Oh, only those who luck truly do not favor worry at all about speaking to their skill.
Gris is like, does luck favor me?
So you lost the poker game,
Yeah,
I suppose?
we were hoping that it would draw out, well,
Who we're looking for?
yeah, Lady
Well,
Luck.
who's to say it hasn't? Who's to say it hasn't? And she like sort of like shakes her head for a moment thoughtfully. Meanwhile, Lione, Marius has pulled you aside and he's looking at you very seriously. He has both of your hands in his, and he says, "Thank you for letting me walk you home.
Always.
I thought maybe you'd want to tell me why we pretty much ran here. I mean, I've been on a lot of promenades with you, Lione, and you're not a particularly fast walk. I find it quite charming to
Thank you.
stroll leisurely. That was a little out of character, I think.
Marius, I don't know if I'm right or if I'm wrong about this, but I almost think that the man who won the game might have been my father, and I don't know for sure, but I'm a bit concerned about it, and I just wanted us to get out of there before what happened last time happened again.
The little guy with the mousy hair and the vials.
Yes. I don't know for sure, but
And why do you think that, Leon?
well,
I'm not saying you're wrong.
it was kind of just a feeling, and I think I told you he's been talking to me.
Yes. That was the other thing I wanted to. Are you going to tell anyone?
I'm gonna... And Leon kind of looks to the rest of the party and says, I think I'd be remiss to not tell them. We put our
Okay.
lives in each other's hands. They should probably know. I'm just trying to find the right time to let them know that, the man that literally killed one of them is back in my head.
Well, like sort of halfway killed her, as far
that's
as
a
I
fair
can
point.
tell.
Yeah.
She's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want you to be careful about all that.
Yeah. I will be. I always am. Well,
Okay.
and she kind of chuckles. Most of the time I am.
He does a little bit of a nose laugh, but doesn't seem to think it's really all that funny, and he goes, just stay safe, Leon.
You also stay safe, Marius.
I'll be fine. There's nothing really in this city that can stand up to a good set of claws. And I don't know. Just don't take too many risks.
I won't. I'll do my best.
Don't do anything Galen would do, and
that's a very easy choice for me to make.
Yeah, really seriously consider the things Ari would do before you do them, and
definitely.
Griss's track record just isn't. I don't.
I know. I know. And Leone's kind of chuckling as she says it. She's like, I know.
I don't think I'd be able to handle it if anything happened. So just be careful.
I will stay.
Thank you for walking me home. And the next time we play poker, Lione,
yes,
we are walking away with the whole pot.
Yes, we are.
All right. And at this point, he sort of like looks you deep in the eyes and says, "Can I kiss you goodnight with your friends here? Is that
absolutely
okay?" And he gives you a quick but passionate kiss in the moonlight, and then sort of lets go of the hand he's still holding, giving it a squeeze, and walks in the direction of his home. Before turning briefly and being like, "Oh, it was nice to see you and meet you," to the rest of the party.
Bye, Marius! It's good to see you!
Bye. I give him like a
he does like a little salute to you.
I do turn and like lean down to Gris for a second. I'm like, I'm kind of relieved. I was gonna tell them to get a room, but I don't want to end up next door.
Good point, Ariadne. Good point.
So, I think he'll be much more comfortable in his own home. At least while I'm around.
As he walks by, I give him like one of the bro slap on the back things that he did to me in the bar.
The bro slap.
The bro slap.
Smiles at you and does like a little like.
Damn, he's so cool. He's so cool.
Like almost a finger gun, maybe something cooler than that I personally as a DM cannot think of because I'm just not. I'm bisexual. I do finger guns a lot.
I was being sincere, but
he's a cool guy, you know.
Like
okay.
We like him.
Marius gives you a little like, and then continues on his way. Disappearing down the street, leaving all of you sort of standing together, Lione presumably still a little ways away, where Marius left her, with the old woman, who's standing there a little awkwardly, sort of looking at you all with big, blind eyes, but it feels almost like she can see you.
Lione turns around and starts walking towards the party, and as she gets close enough to the party, she kind of puts her hands together and says, "It's late, we should go to bed."
But wait. What do you mean Lady Luck might have found us? Or may not?
Leon's like, "What? Did I miss something?"
Yeah, sort of like gestures like way above the lady. It's just like...
Well, I feel like, and Gris kind of turns to Leon, like, she's always here when we need something, right? And I was thinking to Fine or
Gris.
But maybe Lady Luck?
Gris. How about we all sleep? And Leon kind of looks to the woman and says, "How would you feel about sleeping? We can discuss how you stumbled upon us in the morning, perhaps over breakfast.
Ooh, you gotta try the scones.
I just feel like it may be better to discuss all of the things that I would like to discuss once we've all slept.
My dear, sometimes there isn't enough time to do everything we do, and I'm a little worried that come tomorrow you'll be just short of it.
Well, then we have to do it now. What do you know?
As you ask this question, the door swings open, and standing on the other side is Bertram, who is wearing what appears to be a long nightshirt, though there is a tie sort of hastily tied around his neck. He looks tired, but he goes, "I was not expecting you home, ma'am."
Good evening, Bertram.
Good evening, Lione.
We're gonna sleep. We're gonna go to bed. You can go back to bed.
Well, seeing as there was an incident earlier concerning the maids, I will need some time to prepare your rooms.
Understood.
Presumably you and... He, looks down at the old woman who you've brought along with you and sort of narrows his eyes, almost, wrinkles his nose a little bit and goes, "And your new friend can wait in the guest seating area while I get things cleaned, and..." He looks back at the old lady, "perhaps run a bath."
That's a fantastic idea, Bertram. Thank you.
Of course. And he, holds open the door and sort of gestures as if you can all come in.
Lione leads the way.
I follow, and once we're sort of past, I lean over to Lione and I'm like, does he ever have a replacement, another shift? Do you let the man sleep, Lione?
We're usually not. There's usually no need for a night shift.
Obviously there is.
We're all just usually asleep most of the time. Or I would sneak back in. Now that I think of it, we should probably have a part-time night shift butler, shouldn't we?
Bertram is holding open the door, watching you all pass, and he scoffs a little bit, and he's like, "Oh, please," as if I'm not capable of handling the affairs of the home myself.
Of course you are, Bertram, but I value your sleep maybe more than you do.
Gris kind of shrugs her nose after Bertram suggests the bath, he did that to me. and kind of keeps step with the older woman, feeling kind of protective, why should she have to take a bath? I don't understand. And kind of just mutters under her breath about baths and the scent of the earth and all of that as she walks and follows Leon.
So as we walk into the guest sitting room, I want Lione to kind of stand at the threshold and motion everybody else to walk in. Because Galen's last, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As you've started walking, Gris, the elderly woman, appears to be having some trouble walking. She's quite old. And you realize you've never really seen her up and walking around before. She's moving very slowly, as if every step causes her a lot of pain.
Gris kind of notices this and grabs her arm and hope to kind of give her some support. She says, "Are your legs hurting you? Your feet?"
"Oh, my dear. As you know, the mortal body, it ages quite aggressively." And she really leans her weight on you for a moment and lets out a really long sigh. "I apologize,
Apologize? There's no need to apologize.
Oh,
Could I...
but there is. I haven't been as kind to you as I could have been."
Gris kind of like stands back a little bit from her, still like giving her support. You've been nothing but kind to me. What do you mean? You gave me the fairy fern. You helped Galen. You were also at Talanath. You've always been there, and you've been kind.
My dear, sometimes things that seem kind up front help you towards something unkind. I have been less than kind to you, dear. And I fear I will not become much kinder.
Bruh.
What you said about Lady Luck, between you and me. May you have some sort of connection?
Oh, well, maybe I do. I can't remember.
Well, between you and me, I recently had my palm read, and I think some misfortune is coming soon.
Oh, do you want to show me your palm? Perhaps I could take a look. Maybe I could see what it says. You know, it's no, I'm no crack shot at this nowadays, but I used to be known for something similar.
Well, I'd love to, but let's get you in a chair and maybe I can take a look at your legs or your feet.
Oh dear, there's nothing you can do for me.
Salves go a long way. At least let me try.
Salves do not add sand to the hourglass, my dear, but here, help me into this chair and I can look at your hands.
Gris kind of like slowly helps her into the chair and like helps her settle down and even kind of like hands her staff to kind of lean on in the chair and then just kind of kneels down next to her and kind of looks up at her.
So she takes her hand and rubs her thumbs over the palm. And she smiles really sadly and goes, "You will lose everything. And there's nothing you can do to change it. I'm sorry."
But don't we... I mean, in the end, don't we all lose everything anyways? You don't mean like...
Don't we?
And Gris kind of like looks around at her friends and then looks back to the woman and kind of leans in and she says, "Will they be okay?"
I can't spell things out for you, dear. All I can say is that everyone loses everything in the end, but some of us, fate is so unkind that we lose everything long before then. And she like really heaves a big sigh and settles back into the pillows.
Oh.
So
Gris kind of like stands up and scratches her head a little bit and asks her if she's at least comfortable. And then she kind of just like, is there a seat next to her or like across from her? I think Gris needs a minute to devour what she's heard.
Yes, there's an armchair sort of next to her with a almost like an end table in between the two.
Ari just stares at the both, like crosses their arms a little bit, just like nods along and goes, "You know, I was kind of hoping Mung was wrong, just that he was like pulling our leg for Leon's gold, you know? I'd still much rather that were the case."
There is few things Mung loves more than gold, but
you know Mung.
He is always honest with fate.
Gris kind of settles into the armchair next to her and sits in it, probably cross-legged, like she might on the floor, and then repeats her question again. You know Mung?
Oh, I knew Mung long ago, but I'd always hoped I'd have the chance to see him again.
Well, I could take you. We know where he is.
Yeah, we just came from there.
Oh, my dears.
He's not big on company, but he might like to see you.
You will see him again, I'm sure.
But why can't you?
Things take time, and not all of us have it.
Before Galen enters the room, just to say, as an aside, I want Lione to kind of grab him and, like, stop him.
Galen, as you walk into the room, a almost disembodied hand with perfectly manicured nails wraps itself around your bicep and gives you a pull.
And Lione says, Galen, I need you to do something for me.
Did you have to...
Galen, I
What?
just need you to do something for me, and I need you to not ask questions right now, and I need you just to trust me.
Okay.
I need you to take the vials that Gris bought out of her bag without her knowing. And I need you to give them to me.
You are asking me to steal things?
Yes.
From Gris.
I will tell you all why, but I just need for my own peace of mind. I need them.
Okay.
It's not a bad thing, Galen. It's a good thing. I'm doing
Sure
a
it
good
is,
thing,
Lione.
Galen.
Okay. Okay. Whatever, you and your little secrets.
It's not, I will tell you all I just need for my own peace of mind for you to get those vials.
I will get you those vials.
Thank you. And she lets go. And then walks into the room. Is there like a chair that Lione would always sit in? This is like the guest sitting room. Like, is there a chair that she would always sit in or nah?
This is the guest seating room. Not a lot of people use it except for guests when they're waiting for a meeting with your mother, or Marius has hung out here when he's gotten here before you've been home from something, and made awkward conversation with Bertram, which you thought was so funny to walk in on, and he was not as amused by. However, there is a chair that your grandmother favors. She likes the sitting room because there are no cumbersome stairs to go up or down. There is a overstuffed armchair with one of her favorite blankets thrown over it by the window that she likes to sit in because she can see people come through the door and yell things at them as they enter.
I think Lione would kind of like sit there probably for a minute, cross her legs, uncross her legs, get a little too stressed out, stand up for a little bit, pace, just like her routine. As we're all in this room talking, she'll like sit for a minute, stand up, pace around the room, and kind of do that ad nauseum.
So as Lione chooses a seat, Galen, it looks like Gris and Ari are sort of very intently listening to this woman, who you can sort of hear out of the corner of your mind, but there's something much more important to do. You've been assigned a task.
That I have. Where is Gris's bag? Is it on her person?
So Gris's bag is always on her person. She is seated in an armchair, and the bag sort of rests across her lap.
Do I know if Gris sleeps with her bag or not?
She does. She sleeps with her bag. Her bag is always on her person. She is sort of distracted. She seems to be in conversation. Lione, you can see Galen eyeing Gris's bag. So you could hypothetically assist in this through distraction.
Yeah, so I feel like Lione would kind of notice that and walk over and look at Gris and be like, Gris, you are looking very pale. What did I miss? I was gone for like 2 seconds, and I want Lione to kind of like start fawning over her.
I mean, just more of the usual doom and gloom. I mean, you were right here. You should have been within earshot, Lione.
I was.
As you converse, Galen, you're watching Lione sort of very enthusiastically fawn over Gris. It reminds you a little of what you've seen her do to her grandmama. Just very attentive, talking a lot, using her hands. She brushes a little bit of hair away from Gris's face and dramatically presses her palm to her forehead as if to feel her temperature.
Gris's bag is across her lap.
Yes.
So it'd be very hard to do that right under her nose.
I would have you roll a sleight of hand check with disadvantage and her roll a perception check with advantage.
Yeah.
I feel very ganged up on.
It's not a bad
I'm just
thing
vibing.
for once. I'm actually
This
not
is her
asking you to
first
do something bad.
Purchase.
Mhm.
You're right.
She's finally splurged on some vials.
Yeah, from the wrong person.
Hmm.
19.
Is your perception? Okay. Galen, do you want to roll a sleight of hand? What's your modifier for this?
+6, but I have Lover's Gambit, so I have advantage.
So you just roll then.
So you just roll.
Just roll.
You don't have to roll
Oh,
disadvantage.
that's right. Okay. Natural 20.
Okay. So with your modifier, that's a 26.
Correct.
Go! You fucking crit!
So Gris, Lione leans down and presses her hand to your forehead, and for the briefest of seconds, you are overwhelmed and think of the daughter you left in the dream world and how maybe this might have been something she would have done for you. And just looking at Lione, your heart softens. Galen, seeing this moment of sheer, pure emotional connection and recognizing it for what it is, reaches his hand into your bag and snatches out the vials. They clink a little bit, but you don't seem particularly alarmed. Ari, roll a perception check.
I was gonna say, do I hear this?
But only the
19
antivirals,
plus
right?
6, 25.
So you do not hear the clinking.
Okay.
You do, however, notice that the elderly woman who was almost half asleep, her eyes snap open for a second.
Mhm.
Galen, you retreat hastily and do like almost a little roll and pop up and act as if you've just walked into the room, as if you got distracted by something outside, shoving the vials into your pocket. You can add those to your inventory if you want to.
I'll remove them.
Sorry, I was asking Bertram about something. I have a lot of questions for that man.
Hopefully it's not to share another bath with you.
No.
Leon
I wanted
kinda
to know where he got
chuckles.
his tie.
Leon
Gris
kinda does a double take and is like,
So no, oh sorry, let me get this right. Not only did you ask Bertram where he got his tie, but do I take that to mean that you would, 1, want to wear a tie, and 2, want to buy a tie from a place someone like Bertram buys a tie?
Well, not from me.
Who do you know that would wear a tie?
I'm just
Galen!
What?
Horny Jill!
Oh my goodness!
B just looks really nice in a tie. That's all I'm gonna say.
all right. And Leon goes, okay.
Okay.
So, as you all sort of converse, the elderly woman is looking between Galen and Lione, and she goes, It's interesting, you know. This is interesting. And she sort of like settles back into her chair.
That's a generous word
Leon-
for them.
Leon takes this opportunity to look at the old woman and say, I don't think we've ever actually had the pleasure of speaking. I'm Leon LaBelle.
Oh, I know. I know who you are.
It's funny. There's just so many people that I meet that know me before I know them lately.
Well, That's the funny thing about Lione the Bell. And she sort of like giggles to herself for a moment and goes, oh, my dear, I feel I maybe owe you an apology too. Or perhaps you owe me thanks. Let's call it even.
Wait, Lione, give her your hand. If you don't mind. And Grace kind of like leans over to the old woman, like asking her permission for her to look at Leone's hand.
I don't need that.
Oh.
I don't need that.
Well, you did say we wouldn't have time, I suppose, to ask all we needed to ask, so is there something else? If not about Lady Luck, I'm not sure what else we should be asking you about. And I like turn to Lione. Like, do you remember something I don't?
I'm far too humble to enjoy talking too much about. She sort of like gestures to herself for a moment and then goes, you had questions, dear?
You said that we wouldn't have time to discuss all of the things that I want to discuss tomorrow. Why? How do you know that?
Oh, well, my dear. All strings end. That includes mine.
Is that why you sought us out now?
Oh, no. I sought you out because you asked me to come.
We did?
We did. Lione kind of looks at Gris. And then is like,
we did.
This is obviously...
Gris is still like, what's about to happen? What am I losing?
Galen just like crosses his arms and is like, I knew it. I don't know how y'all didn't.
Ari's stuck on thinking, if your strand is running out, just tie more strand to it.
Wait, aren't strings and the statue at Monk's place? Red threads? Blind woman?
Yes.
Tafine?
What about it? What?
Is that you?
you?
Is that you?
Is who?
Are you Tafine? Are you the goddess of fate?
Answers are never easy, my dear.
That's such a goddess thing to say.
She like looks at you for a moment and her eyes narrow and she goes, and goddesses have ire, my dear.
Lione says,
half-sister should know all about that.
Yes, well.
Lione says, if your mortal string is running to its end tomorrow, what do we need to know? And what happens to you?
Not tomorrow, dear. Soon.
Okay.
Tomorrow will be too late. What happens to me? Oh, that's such a good question. I'm afraid that's more of a question for someone else. It's not really my territory, so to speak. We leave behind our powers and give them to someone we deem worthy. But it is their choice if they take them. And perhaps there is more than one option. I'm not sure. You ask many questions, and now I have one for you.
Okay.
All of you. Do you not realize that fire scorches the trees and burns away at the woods? And water takes fire's life force and drains it out? I'm wondering because this is an interesting choice you've made for yourselves, each one of you.
I mean, I know I didn't pay attention, but I do believe those are like the basic tenets of physics.
You would think, and yet.
Fire scorching trees. That sounds familiar, doesn't it, Leon? And
Yeah, we
Galen
know
sort of,
it
puts
quite
his hands
well.
on his hips.
And like I point to Gris and I'm like, yeah, we're working on it with her. You know, the arson tendencies.
Mm.
And says,
Are you
the water
saying-
sounds familiar too.
Oh,
I didn't burn down a forest.
Neither
you
did
could-
I.
but you could stop a fire?
You all take things very literally, don't you?
Leon chuckles and says, "Do you remember the fall?"
No. Memories are hard to come by. You get older and you forget not only what you have, but what you've lost. And you watch everyone you love fade away in time.
That must be lonely.
It is an almost lucky sort of loneliness to know.
So there's no way to change fate. No way to change
No.
that string.
There are choices, and those choices may lead you down one path or the other, but there are far fewer choices than you think. Most of you have made all of them you can.
So you're saying no matter what some of us do, it won't change anything.
It won't change the outcome, but it might change how you feel about it.
Well, who needs to change? What needs to change? When does it need to change?
You ask many questions.
Gris kind of slumps and she's like, you told me I'm going to lose everything and that I can't change it, so I guess it's not me.
Well, I've told you what I can of your fate, and I can say it again. You will lose everything, and you too will know lucky loneliness. You are destined for something bigger than yourself. And she nods to Lione. And
Leon is just watching her.
whatever power you may fear becomes yours one way or another. You can choose to claim your birthright or have your birthright claim you. You, the sad one,
Ari looks behind their shoulders and then it's like, oh yeah, right.
the
Yeah.
elf sad one, yes,
Yes.
You will find the redemption you seek, but it is won the hard way. And she will wait for you to come home. And you will receive the only soldier's welcome that breaks your heart. And you, child of two worlds, you still have a choice to make.
Oh, great. And Galen sort of puts his head in his hands, fingers on the bridge of his nose. Just oh no.
And who's to say if you'll make the right one?
That's helping. Yeah, this is great.
I've helped your hand before, boy. Just hope that whoever inherits what I leave behind shows mercy.
I sort of look at Ari and I was like, was that a threat?
I
Sounded like a warning, right? More than.
mean anything is a threat if you want it to be.
Okay, but that
let's be
sounded
real.
really threat-y, right?
I guess we'll find out by tomorrow if it'll be too late.
Oh. Galen's just like super stressed now, and now he's pacing around the room, and
She's just like way back into the pillows of this chair, like sinking so far back that it looks like her body is being consumed by the plush of the chair, and she's just sort of staring off into the distance. She seems tired, and she takes a deep breath and goes, "Is there anything else you wished to ask me?"
How do we find the one who receives your powers after you?
You've already found them. You have everything you need.
What do you know of my father?
I can't spell answers out for you, dear. But know that there are people who wish to help you, and people who wish to use you, and some people who think that they are one and the same.
Can we make you comfortable at all?
The man on the stairs. He will help me. And at that point, the sort of door to the sitting room opens, and Bertram stands there. He has put on pants. He's in a full outfit, and his tie is correctly tied now. He stands there, looks at you all, and goes, "Lione, I thought perhaps I would take our elderly guest to her room first."
I think that's a very good idea, Bertram.
Of course. And he sort of looks at her for a moment and goes, "One moment," and looks off into the distance as if waiting for something, at which point a long cane you recognize as your grandmother's, topped with sort of this elegant carved dragon, the sigil of your home, shoots into the room at like top speeds through the air, and sort of stops in front of Bertram, hovering vertically, still sort of like swinging with the momentum.
Lione doesn't even flinch. She's used to this.
He plucks it out of the air and then sets it in front of the elderly woman and goes, "I am here if you need assistance. May I help you, Mr. Wavefair?"
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
"You are quite welcome, Mr. Wavefair." And he sort of looks to the woman, and she's sort of propped herself up on the cane, and he very slowly begins to assist her out of the room. "I will be back for the rest of you to show you to your rooms shortly."
Thank you, Bertram.
"Quite so, miss." And he very gently, you can hear him apologize for the stairs. And you can hear her say something, but you don't quite make it out. And it seems to make him laugh, though he still seems slightly uncomfortable as he was when she entered, leaving the rest of you in the sitting room together.
So once he leaves with her, just like shake my head and like give out a sigh and just turn to Lione and go, "Well, that was about as clear as mud."
So obviously that was Tafine, right?
Yeah.
We're all on the same page here, right?
What?
I was gonna bring it up later, but that yeah.
And Tafine is going to pass off her powers to someone?
Is
Sounds
it
like
long?
it.
Upon her death.
Yeah.
We'll know in the morning, I guess. We'll have a better sense.
But what does she mean by we already have everything we need? I feel like we know nothing. I feel like we have nothing.
Well, I don't think I know anything, but there are some things I need to tell you all. Galen, you should sit down.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, and I'll just sit on the closest chair.
There are no chairs left.
I'll sit on the floor.
There is a spare pillow on Ariadne's chair that perhaps they'd be willing to lend you, but perhaps not.
I'll sit
You
on the
don't
floor.
actually have to sit if it's only on the floor, Galen. I was just doing like the thing that people do.
I'm already
about
sitting
that.
on the floor.
Okay. Leon kind of stands and says, "So, do we remember when my father spoke to me outside of the tree?"
Yes.
Outside.
Vividly.
Gris, you were asleep.
Oh. No, I don't remember.
Leon chuckles and says, "I reached out to try to speak to Tafine, and a voice did speak back to me,
Your father?
and it was my father."
Hmm.
And Leon kind of struggles to find her words here. What I haven't told you all is that it kind of opened a door.
What kind of door?
A communication door.
Hmm.
Have you tried
Can you not
closing
close
it?
it?
Yeah, and I pointed like Galen. I was like, yeah, same page.
I can't close it.
So is he just talking to you all the time?
Not all the time.
What does he say?
Yeah.
That he's close by, which brings me to my next point.
A next point?
I don't want you all to be alarmed.
I'm already
There's
alarmed.
nothing more alarming than saying the phrase "you don't have to be alarmed." I
Um,
learned this from you.
I'm fairly certain that Edward Guildenstone was my father.
The vial salesman?
Yes, they're no longer in your bag. I've taken them away from you.
Why did you
He's
take
short.
Because I don't know what they mean. I don't know why he gave them. I don't know why he was willing to give them to you, so
I bought them!
I'll pay you back.
But what if I need vials?
Not from him.
You think there's something wrong with the vials?
I don't know.
That was your father?
Maybe?
If he
I-
was, why was he playing poker at Travis's table? Of
Why
all
was he so
places
small? And
to be. He was
different.
very short.
Yeah.
He looked very different.
I mean, he also was a dragon at one point. So I think he's able to change what he looks like.
How did he?
And he chose to look like that?
I think he just wants to be close to me.
But how did he get out of the dream world?
Crown.
I forgot.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I knew it was going to happen eventually. I mean, I hoped it didn't. But, and I don't know for sure. I cannot stress enough. There's no way for me to know for sure whether or not that was my father, but
Then what specifically made you think that? Then what, like, did you, you took the vials, were the vials freaky in any way?
that's a
You
good
know, were they
question.
freaky vials?
Can I hold my hand out for the vials from Galen? Galen, can I have the vials?
Because
I mean, you
otherwise I
can.
just don't understand how
Wait, that's-
why...
Well, there's a bit more.
Chris
Galen
like points
sort of-
at Galen like, you're the one who...
Galen sort of like has like a pouty look on his face and just like looks at
Oh.
Lione and is just
I
like,
am
Oh.
sorry. Thank you.
I can't believe you stole vials from me, Galen.
I asked him to, so that one's not on him.
Well, then I can't believe you stole my vials, Leon.
I mean, the act I did not do, but
The principal.
Classic
yes.
excuses.
My
I'll invoice you in the morning, Lione.
Leon kind of holds the vials and is like, can I like just do like a magic check on them?
Yeah, you can.
Oh fuck, what's my... It's Arcana. Sorry. Okay, that is 13 plus 6, 19.
From what you can tell, these are perfectly normal vials
Mm-hmm.
used for the storage of things that belong in vials.
Okay. Lione says,
Oh,
well, I'm pretty sure they're normal vials. However, you know the tab that I had to pay?
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Well, yeah, because Travis said the drinks were free, so...
Yeah, I didn't have a tab to pay. I just wanted to try to speak to Edward Guildenstone.
And that's why you think he's your father?
Well, yes.
I mean, his last name is Guildenstone.
Maybe not that original, actually. Good point, Galen.
He doesn't strike me as a creative person. I mean, you
Or why
you
Edward?
see his house in the dream world.
I thought it was clever.
It actually really is.
Y'all don't take hints unless I spell it out for
No,
you.
you're
so-
100% correct.
Yo, this is not us dissing the DM.
Oh,
This
no,
is
no.
even remotely.
banter between a goober party.
I know.
Making
Go on.
fun
Go
of
on.
Elias.
Go on. I wanted to, I
I just
villain.
assumed that
It's
was
okay.
his profession.
So Lione kind of says, I also saw his. I'm trying so hard not to laugh right now.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
What kind of profession is gilding stones?
I know.
A jeweler, maybe?
A bedazzler, a professional bedazzler.
Fantasy
Wall of
bedazzler.
Swarovski crystals to like bedazzle everything. Don't kill me.
Bedazzle my stones.
Leon, go on. I'm so sorry.
No, it's good. I'm getting really carried away at the idea that he's like bedazzling people's like sword hilts. Like, can I get my staff bedazzled? Anyways, that would be a good way to get in Leon's good books. Just like offer to bedazzle her things. Much to think
The
about.
original LaBelle business.
Exactly. So Lione says, listen, I want to tell you all these things because you're with me and I don't want to put you in danger. But I also don't want to tell you these things because what if me telling you these things puts you in danger? Do you understand the struggle that I'm dealing with right now?
But according to Tafine, the choices don't matter. And some of us have already made all of our choices. And there's nothing we can do. So just... And Grace just kind of like panic, just shrugs and like has nothing to like actually say.
I noticed that his blood sparkled a little bit in the moon.
Okay, so if it is let's assume it is your father.
I think it's my father.
What do we do now?
We kill him.
Well, how about we just avoid? How about we avoid the situation? How about we
We
avoid
kill him
If he
while
can
he's
look-
vulnerable.
He's not vulnerable.
Travis punched the shit out of him.
He
He's
let him.
vulnerable.
If he let Travis punch him and get away with it, we cannot tell Travis.
Okay. Let's go back to the birthright thing. She said you can claim your birthright.
I don't know what that means.
I'm just thinking that you can't just ignore your father.
Well, I don't plan on ignoring him forever.
You
but
just
I
said
also-
you wanted to avoid
Well,
him,
for
which
the
also
time
he
being.
changes faces. So what's the plan there?
I just don't really want to go out and try and kill him. We can't fight him right now. We're not
But we also
powerful
can't
enough.
avoid him.
We could avoid him until we're strong enough.
And when do you suppose that'll be?
I don't know.
I feel like we need to...
We need to wait until the morning. And we need, unfortunately, for Tafine. And Leon stops mid-sentence and looks at Bertram, who she just knows by the cough.
First of all, dear, it is called a glamour. Some of us are very versed in it. For instance, perhaps guests arrive in the middle of the night and we do not want to appear in our night dress. We may make ourselves look slightly different. Remind me to tell you about that later. For now, Lione, I need to borrow you.
Absolutely. Leon goes to follow him. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So, Lione, Bertram hurries up the stairs. This is not a man who runs. This is a man who, if he wants to get somewhere quickly, he portals. He seems to realize this as he reaches the top of the stairs and looks at you and says, how do you feel about... And he sort of like does a hand motion, and a large, almost translucent sort of purple oval about his height and the width of a very large man appears in front of you, and he says, the fast way.
I trust you.
All right. And he sort of takes your hand and pulls you through the portal with him.
Okay.
You appear in front of one of the doors to the many guest bedrooms in your home. He looks at you, and you can't tell if he's angry or not. You've never really seen Bertram angry. You've seen him argue. He chastises other servants quite often. He argues with your mother from time to time, which is very brave of him. But his eyes are definitely stormy. And he looks very serious and says to you, I don't know, Lione, what kind of magic you've brought into your mother's home, but I pray to the gods above you have any idea what you're doing. And opens the door to the bedroom, seemingly hesitant to go inside. Meanwhile, downstairs... The rest of you have been left without Leone's supervision in this sort of waiting area.
What's around? What else is in the room?
What a fun question. I wonder what kind of check might be able to answer
I'm
that.
working on it.
Perception. 10.
Thanks, Tim.
I also got a 10.
Oh
We see the exact same thing.
I got an 8, so I see a little less. But my passive perception.
Leone took all the perception with her.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
This is funny too, because this is kind of like the low int, high wisdom squad, and none of you were able to perceive in this moment.
No.
None of you are really that used to manners still. You've been at a couple now. Gris would consider herself an expert if asked, but you don't really know that much about them. So you kind of take a few moments to look around the room. There is a bookshelf lining one of the walls that is filled with all kinds of books. There's 4 overstuffed chairs, and a pillow on the ground that Ari appears to have dropped after Galen sat on the ground, a ways away from him, so he could not reach it while seated unless he leaned his entire torso down across the floor and extended his arm as far as possible, dramatically, which maybe he would have done if the situation wasn't so serious in the moment. Ari, you notice on the bookshelf a few books you're actually familiar with. These books appear to be all in Elvish or Common, which you think is quite nice, as those are some of the languages that you speak. They don't seem particularly interesting. You do notice what appears to be a slightly abnormal book. Nothing about the title really strikes you as odd, except it looks from your perspective like maybe the pages have been glued together. It looks like there's a large crack down the middle, as if it could be open and shut like a box. Galen, you are looking for kind of maybe different things in this room. Maybe your priorities are a little different than the rest of your party. There's several sconces that line the walls. They are gold and glittering. One of them, the candle's gone out on. There's a loose earring on one of the tables in the room. And, you think you see in front of the loose earring a gold sort of semi-transparent thread that runs across the room. You, as a thief yourself, know this to be an alarm spell. Somebody does not want you touching this earring, or maybe they do, and they want an excuse to call the guards on you. Or maybe this is not a trap for you at all, and you've just sort of stumbled into this home where nothing has to do with your particular motivations at all. You can also smell outside of the room. It smells like somebody's baking cookies? It's a little weird.
Why is Grandma up this late?
Someone outside as well, the window's sort of half cracked, is smoking something that both you and Ari can recognize as this sort of odd plant, similar to tobacco, a little bit different, used for its feelings of euphoria. It's something that has become more popular in the upper class recently, but for a long time was more popular with sort of teenagers, and you're very familiar with it in the brigade. People use it to sleep. Gris! Somebody outside is smoking dwarf weed. You are familiar with this. It's pretty commonly used in herbal medicines to aid people with sleeplessness, or even fear. However, that's not the most interesting thing to you in this room. You are intrigued by a book. It's not on the shelf that Ari appears to be examining, but instead underneath one of the chairs, as if it's been dropped and forgotten about. You think to yourself that Reese's heart would break to know that someone is so callous towards so many wonderful books. You sort of squint to get a closer look and can almost make out the title from where you are seated.
Can I go pick up the book?
Yeah. You're gonna have to kind of really stick your arm underneath this chair.
I'm small.
Yeah, maybe crouch down a little bit.
She kind of kneels on the ground. Maybe do I need to lay all the way on the ground and pull Shannara out?
No, you can
Okay.
you can pull it out.
Okay. So I pull out the book. Can I see what's on the cover now?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
This is a book of children's fairy tales.
Oh.
These stories are pretty common among halflings and humans. They're sort of, it looks like a reprint of a book that you and Reese actually have a copy of. It was a gift from his mother when you first considered having children. The goal was for it to be sort of a book that you could read together as a family. That copy had an inscription that obviously is missing here. But you can't help but think about it. It wasn't actually inscribed by your mother-in-law, but rather several birthdays ago. Maybe 35 birthdays ago. Reese gave you a book you already owned. For your birthday, he took the trouble to wrap it up, and even attached a little sprig of dried rosemary to the top, along with a single dried red rose, which you had told him symbolized love, and you thought it was quite sweet that he remembered. When you opened it and read the inscription, it read, "Dear Chickadee, you are all the family I've ever needed. My life is complete. And you are complete too." It was very simple, but as you pull the book out, you think of it. As you hold it up to your face for a moment, overcome with emotions, a note falls out. It looks like maybe it was acting as a bookmark. Somebody in this home maybe needs to spend some of her endless fortune on bookmarks for herself, as opposed to leaving personal communications lying about. As Gris does this, Ari, Galen, what are you doing?
I pull
Okay.
out. I want to investigate the the book with the pages glued together and it cracks fine.
I want to take a look around the room. So, like, you said that there's a thread going across the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where in the room does it stop? Like, does it go all the way to a wall? Does it stop somewhere in the middle? Does it wrap around the ring?
Around the table, and sort of almost tangles it in a ball of this string.
Okay. What about the sconces? Are they, like, within reach?
Yeah.
For me?
It looks like they're at appropriate dusting height.
Okay. You said one of them was extinguished, right?
Yes.
So I have a tinderbox. Can I
Are you
light?
gonna light the sconce?
I want to light the extinguished sconce, yeah. See if
Go
anything
for it.
happens.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna make you roll for it. That's fine. I trust that Galen knows how to use matches. I'd be a little alarmed if he didn't. I'm not gonna let your dice fuck that one up for you, Galen. So you light the sconce. It flickers and lets off sort of a warm glow.
I'm staring at the table the entire time.
It's just it's vibing.
Just a table.
The spell doesn't like.
Nope.
No, nothing. Okay.
No.
Damn.
I'm gonna look out the window and see who's smoking that weed. 'Cause maybe I want some. I don't know.
Roll a perception.
Okay. 27.
So you sort of start to lean out the window. I will tell you what you see in just a moment. Ari, what are you doing? You're looking at the
Yeah,
the book?
I've pulled out the book and I'm investigating it. Do I happen to figure out that it maybe separates?
Yeah, so you pull the book off the shelf and something inside of it clunks. The book, as you hold it, feels more like a box with something sort of heavy inside.
I think the full sentence, books don't make that sound,
Don't
in my head.
All right, would you like to... So you sort of
Yes.
examine it, and you do see that there's a line down the center. It looks like almost like a regular book. The spine serves as a sort of hinge, and it can be opened.
I open it.
Inside is a flask. It appears to be full. There is a note that accompanies it.
I just like just give a little smile, like I gingerly take the note and like hold the book in one hand and I'm like trying to open it up and like balance everything. What does the note say?
Lione, I swear to the goddess above, if you tell your mother about this, I will haunt you. And then that good-for-nothing father of yours will be the least of your concerns. Okay, young lady? Put it back where you found it.
I just give like a breathy chuckle at that, and I make a point to sort of turn. Leon's not here, but to like turn away from the others so they don't kind of see it either. And I tuck the note back on top of the flask. It's like admiring whatever, like the design and stuff, and just like gently close it again. And I'm just like, and just put it back on the.
So you quickly put this book back and you see Galen leaning with his head almost halfway out the window. Galen, you look outside. You cannot figure out where in the hell this smell is coming from. You can hear some chatter as someone walks down the street. You can hear someone drunkenly singing. It seems like maybe the nobility get up to no good at nighttime, just like everyone else. But you cannot find the source of this smell. It's very odd. Ariadne, you are watching Galen lean out the window. Gris, you have sort of finished your flashback, and now this piece of paper has fallen out of the book.
Can I unfold it? Does it say anything?
You can unfold it.
Okay. I unfold it.
All right. It appears to be a handwritten note.
Okay.
L, it says. Just the letter L. It was lovely to see you. Every time I speak to you, I am reminded of how lucky I am. Not only to have met you, but to have had you been the one who truly got to know me. I know you're leaving soon. Please take care. I don't want to be too rash to say anything, but it would break more than just your mother and grandmother's heart if anything happened to you. It looks like whoever wrote this drew a heart, thought better of it, scratched it out, thought better of that, drew another heart, and then the letter M.
Oh, I think Gris probably just smiles to herself and enjoys the kind of parallel between her and Reese and what she assumes to be Lione and Marius, and gently kind of tucks the note back into the book somewhere. But I imagine she might mindlessly kind of just flip through it and see if any particular children's fairy tale catches her eye while she waits.
So as you stand there, Ari, Galen, yeah, you guys are...
Is his head still out the window?
Yes. So you are watching Galen sort of like, he looks like he's looking for something.
Mm-hmm. Can I try to sort of to sneak up to him essentially and go like, boo, but be ready to like catch his shirt if he's a dumbass and freaks out.
Yes, Galen, your passive perception is... Sorry, I'm trying to load the page here.
It's 19.
That's your passive perception?
Yep.
Yes, 19.
Mm-hmm.
Ari?
Yeah.
You have... Your stealth is... Hang on, let me do some quick math.
I have a +9 to stealth.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do. Right, so Ari, your passive sneak is good enough to do him a little frightened. I would make you roll for it if you wanted to rob him.
No,
but you are allowed to sneak up on him.
Spook.
Yes. Yes.
A playful spook with the caveat that I am prepared to grab him if he freaks the fuck out.
All right, go ahead and give it your best shot to scare Galen. Galen, you are looking out the window. This smells like it's getting closer and then further away. It's driving you a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Where the fuck is that coming from? I didn't know the nobility partied like this. I mean, you wouldn't know it from the labels, certainly, but I'm kind of just like looking around, just
Yeah.
like I think I'm...
While he's muttering, I sort of just like very like on my tiptoes sort of float over and then like get ready, and I just like half spooking, just like a boo, and also like half tickle, so it's just like a ruh at him. At his like back and chest or whatever.
Okay.
I grab him properly and I steady him and I'm like, gotcha.
Gris probably like looks up and is like, what the hell?
I look back at Chris. Did you say that out loud or did you just think it?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure she would say what the hell. Like,
okay, I just look back and I'm like, I mean, he set himself up for it.
Gris just kind of like shakes her head and closes the book and like tucks it under her arm and just says, I mean, fair.
You'd make a good thief, Ari.
Speaking of thieves, I'm still mad at you, by the way.
Lione told me to.
Speaking of Lione.
Can't exactly tell her no.
Lione, while your friends paw through the things, You stand upstairs, looking through the doorway. Bertram holds the door open, but his body language is very stiff. He's very clearly uncomfortable with something.
Bertram, did she ask for me? What's wrong?
I wish I could tell you, Miss LaBelle. I think it's better if you just see it.
Okay. And she kind of like motions in there?
Yes, and forgive me, but you'll have to go alone. Such magic is far beyond my pay grade.
Okay.
Just... And he taps his head for a moment.
Yeah.
Let me know if you need help. I'll be... And he like sort of gestures down the hall a bit, and he's like, a safe distance away.
Yes, you got it. And Lione kind of nods and walks into the room.
Okay. Would you like to roll a perception check?
Yes, I would. That is 14 plus 1, 15.
All right, the room is very dark.
Okay.
The curtains have been drawn closed. There are no lights on. You can see fairly well, thanks to your own abilities, but it feels odd. The air is stale. There is no sign of the goddess, except in front of the bed is a pile of clothes. Sort of almost vertically stacked, as if the frame that held them up just disappeared.
Whoa. Okay. Lione is going to look at what are just standing clothes.
You would like to get a closer look at them?
Yes, please. Like, I just kind of want to, like, get closer to that, kind of, like, maybe do an Arcana check.
You want to do investigation?
Yeah. Oh, I've never had to roll one of those. Ooh, fun.
I don't make you guys
fresh.
investigate things often enough. I'm so sorry.
Shit. Okay, well, that one's 11 plus 2, 13.
Okay. You sort of crouch down and look at the clothes. You sort of stand again and head over to where the armoire to be, and grab like a candle snuffer, which is essentially almost like a bell shape hanging off the edge of a long stick.
Mm-hmm.
You hold it close to the bell shape and sort of attempt to pick up the clothes with the end of the stick, knowing that magic can sort of be everywhere. You wind up dropping the candle snuffer and sort of resorting to picking through the clothes with your hands, though part of you thinks very much, sort of half your brain is occupied by the thought of where your shield and sword are and how accessible they are to you in that moment. You do wind up going through all of the clothes. Sort of nestled in the center of all of it is what appears to be a medium-sized pearl. It's unlike any pearl you've ever seen, and you are quite familiar with fancy gemstones. Thank you very much. It's almost translucent, as if the insides of the pearl are swirling. You pick it up to examine it, and as you do, you hear a voice in your head. It's a voice you've become familiar with, and does not carry with it the same sense of foreboding or fear you've come to associate with your father's voice. Rather, it is a comforting presence, a woman's voice. The same voice you heard at the temple when you took your oath, and the same voice that occasionally cuts through the static of your father's voice to remind you of the good inside of you as you dream. For once, though, this voice, which usually sounds strong and a little flirty, as one might expect such a goddess to speak, is decidedly sad. We feared this would happen. Lione. She's too old, too forgotten to ascend. Her time is up. And all she leaves behind is her trace of power. It sounds almost like Sune might cry as she says this to you.
Lione responds and says, what do I do with this?
Lione, I once spoke to you about seizing opportunities as they come. Opportunity presents itself, my dear. You know your father believes you a fool and that you are too afraid of your own power to allow it to grow. Now is the time, my dear, to swallow your fear. Now is the time to consume or be consumed, Lione.
Lione kind of pauses and is like, do you want me to literally eat this?
Well, I was trying to be delicate.
I'll
Lione.
do it.
Yeah. Untapped power only goes untapped for too long, and there are only 2 sets of hands. Maybe 3 this can pass to, and I can assure you, one of them is the wrong hands.
Lione says, thank you. And she's gonna eat the pearl.
All right, you're gonna swallow it?
Yep.
So you put the pearl in your mouth, and the flavor reminds you of something you haven't had in years. Your grandmother, when she was a little younger, a little more all there, used to make this strange drink made of cucumbers and crushed ice and sweet lemon. The taste reminds you of that, but it doesn't taste quite like it, rather the memory of it. You don't find you need any water to swallow the pearl. It slips down your throat easily, and you find it more refreshing than anything you've ever tasted. You can feel it for a moment, almost pulsing inside of you. It feels like it strengthens your heartbeat for a moment. And as you stand there, feeling this feeling, Sune's voice takes on a slight edge, becomes almost a little unfamiliar to you, and purrs as if in your ear. Oh, Lione, what have you done? What on earth are you going to tell your friends? And the voice fades into the background.
Love that.
Downstairs, Ari and Galen are sort of messing around under Griss's supervision.
I really want to know where that smell's coming from.
Gris gets
so zoomed in on this.
Gris Chris gives him like a side eye, and she's like, "You don't need dwarf weed, Galen."
Look, it's the only thing I can focus on right now because that over there, and he points to the table, is trapped. So I don't want to deal with that. So I'm just gonna. This is my thing right now.
What do you mean it's
What do you mean
trapped?
it's yeah?
Hey Ari, why don't you go pick up that earring?
Oh no.
Okay.
Ari, maybe think about it before you do that.
Okay. I won't, I guess, but why? That's
pick
the
it up.
point.
See what happens.
But what if something bad happens to
Oh, come
Ariadne?
on.
Because of you!
We're in Leone's house. What bad could possibly
Bertram
happen?
could yell at us. That's what could happen.
You're
That's
scared
true,
of
that is-
Bertram?
He is very scary. Yes.
I mean,
Well,
true.
he's not scary.
But what is he gonna do?
Are
Is
you
he gonna
really do you
fight
want to
us?
listen to
No.
him longer than we have to?
Gris just like points at Ariadne like, he told that poor woman to take a bath, Galen.
But anyways, intrigued now, I at least turn around and do I see anything like whatever it was that
You see nothing. You see an earring discarded on a table.
it doesn't have a pair?
Yeah, we should probably find its partner, right?
It's just an earring. Probably somebody just lost it. Maybe Lione or her mother or her grandmother. I'm sure it's no big deal.
Which means
Or
we
I
should return it
guess-
to them, right?
No, they'll come back looking for it. Just leave it, leave it, leave it.
Are you sure? You don't want to do the kind thing, Gris?
Gris just shoots him a look and just kind of grunts and walks over to like the nearest
You're
chair and settles in.
Yeah, I just look between them both and I'm like, you're being like unusually deliberately obtuse.
He stole from me, Ariadne. And also,
I
I can't
know.
change my fate. So I'm a little frustrated.
Why don't you make your own luck and take the earring and see what happens?
Because it doesn't matter. Apparently, it doesn't matter. Can't
Does
do
it
anything.
though?
I mean, if you want to pick it up, pick it up. And she just kind of sits down and crosses her arms.
Ariadne, have you made up a decision in regard to this earring?
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna stare at it just like squinty eyed because at this point I don't trust Galen. I'm just like, if this is payback for spooking you, I'm still not going to apologize.
I promise it's harmless.
Galen, then why don't you pick it up?
Okay.
Okay.
Galen, are you gonna pick up the earring?
See, as he says and is thinking about it, I go like, see, to Gris, see, he's scared too. He doesn't want to pick it up. He knows it's trapped and he wanted me to fall for it.
Of course.
I mean, I also could be lying the entire time. It may not be trapped at all.
Then just pick it up!
Why don't you pick it up?
Because I don't want to. I have no interest in picking it up.
Why not? It might look good on you.
It's
You ever
one
wear
earring.
earrings before? Yeah, that's trendy.
No. My ears aren't pierced.
I could pierce them for you, and I put my hand on the dagger.
Do not.
Chris, like, holds-
Step between like the line of sight, and I'm like, I don't do. There, I will pierce something other than your ears if you come a step closer with that.
I don't really have earlobes, so
Meanwhile, upstairs, Lione, it seems you've made a mistake.
Does it, like, does she feel
Uh-oh.
any different?
She does.
Okay. Tell me about it.
You feel stronger.
Okay.
You can feel the magic that pulses through your veins. And it feels good. You feel better than you've ever felt. You feel strong. You feel, well, you always feel beautiful. You feel, most of all, powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But your convictions don't feel like they've changed.
Okay.
You still know that the voice in your head, your father, is harmful.
Mm-hmm.
You still know who your friends are.
Mm-hmm.
You are acutely aware of Bertram standing down the hallway.
Okay. Is there anything in the room that's sharp?
No.
Damn.
Do you have your sword on you?
Well, yeah, she would, wouldn't she? Because we were just at a thing, and we haven't changed.
What do you want to do with the sharp thing, Lione?
Yeah.
I just want to cut my finger.
Yeah, you have your sword. You also have, like, earrings in with kind of pointy backs.
Yeah, like with whatever's easiest to come by, I just want Lione to kind of prick her finger.
Okay, so you remove
take a
an
look at
earring.
blood.
They're still your grandmother's pearl earrings. You've found them to be your new favorite accessory. And she seems quite excited at the idea of you holding on to them. And you prick your finger.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to quite see in the light, and you sort of tilt it towards the light coming through the doorway. Your finger drips golden blood onto the carpet. As you stand there and look at it, someone peeks their head in.
Bertram, I think I've made a mistake.
And I think perhaps now is as good a time of any as to teach you any sort of like gestures for a moment, and you see him standing in his nightdress, and then he gestures again, and he says, "Because something tells me that's not a conversation you want to have right now."
Do I look different, Bertram?
No, but it's any like gestures to your finger.
Yeah, okay, fair. Are you not concerned by this?
I am very concerned, Miss
So
LaBelle,
am I.
but I'm a butler.
Fair.
And
Yeah.
very mediocre wizard. I think perhaps that's a problem for those beyond my pay grade.
Mine too.
So he takes a moment, and you two have a conversation. He seems to show you a few things, and he does recommend a book to you. However, Lione, you are welcome to add glamour to your spell slots.
Okay.
To your spell list. He then looks at you for a moment and says, "You know, as a child, you were always sort of getting into trouble. Causing trouble for your mother, mainly. And, Lione, you are an adult, and you are welcome to make your own mistakes, but make them far away from the people who they might hurt."
Yeah.
And he takes your hand and gives it a squeeze and goes, "Also, I think your friends might be causing quite the hubbub downstairs."
I had a feeling they probably...
You begin to walk in the direction of the stairwell and begin to descend. You can hear your friends arguing about something. Meanwhile, as Lione approaches, but is not quite there yet, you are all sort of bothering each other.
So, you gonna pick it up, Galen?
Well, we haven't heard from Lione in a little bit.
Lione hears her name and says, What is happening?
Lione and Bertram enter. Bertram looks like this. Lione, are you kind of trying to mask your emotions right now?
I would say so. Yeah.
All right. Lione looks very pulled together.
Insight check.
Why? What's your motivation for insight checking?
She was gone for a very long time, and she showed up with Bertram. That never happens.
My house.
She left with Bertram.
Yeah.
Right, but she came back with Bertram.
Wow.
Usually Bertram's off doing something else. in
Roll
He's
an-
escorting you to your rooms.
magical portal land.
An insight check.
22.
Lione looks great. She looks fine. It looks like she might have had a good conversation with Bertram. He looks fine too. He looks like Bertram. He seems unbothered by sort of everything, but also annoyed that he has to be here. Yeah, Lione looks nice. She looks pulled together. Her lips are the usual shade of red. You think it might be a little uncomfortable to be wearing her makeup for this long.
Can Gris ask Bertram if the older woman made it to her room okay?
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead and ask.
Oh, I don't know why I didn't just say it. Is it okay if I ask a question? Gris turns to Bertram and kind of like raises an eyebrow and says, "The elderly woman, she make it okay to her room. I know those stairs are a lot."
The stairs are quite a bit. She made it to her room fine.
And hopefully she's comfy?
Well, I think perhaps this is a conversation best saved for tomorrow.
She's not comfy?
I'm guessing that she's asleep, so we can't very well ask her if
It's
she's
very
comfy.
late,
She's
Gris.
asleep.
Are you comfortable, Bertram?
No, sir. I am always uncomfortable whenever we welcome thieves into our home.
Is that okay?
We
Question.
should go
I'm gonna
there.
pick up the earring while staring directly at Bertram.
You pick up the earring, and a loud, shrill, sort of like screaming echoes through the house.
No.
You go to look sort of off and towards the source of the noise, which appears to be everywhere, and find that you are completely unable to move. Please add paralyzed to your list of current conditions.
Lione looks at Bertram and says, "Can you
Can I what?
fix it? You know
Fix
he's
what?
just being spiteful."
And he's the only one allowed to be spiteful, Miss LaBelle?
I turned to Gris and I just mentioned, he would have let that happen to me.
I know, that's why I said you shouldn't pick it up. Make him pick it up first.
Oh, the alarm just sounds when you cross it. This is... And he sort of like looks at Galen for a moment. This is me.
You just did that as like a extra, a little something extra.
Yeah, it's a flare.
Well, you can never be too careful with thieves. And he like sort of looks at Lione for a moment, and his eyes soften a little bit, and he goes, "Very well."
Thank you.
Snaps, and Galen, you find yourself able to move again. You can remove paralyzed from your list of conditions.
I'll have you know, Bertram, Lione did ask me to steal from Gris. Like,
I didn't ask you to steal
an hour
the
ago.
earring.
it was lying on the table. I just picked it
Well,
up.
So it's to take?
I said he should leave it so that whoever lost it can come back and find it.
I trust Lady LaBelle's judgment as to what is necessary, and I trust your judgment as to... Alright, well, I shall show you your rooms now. Don't roll your eyes at me. Young man, you are the one who took the earring just to be spiteful.
I looked you directly in the eyes. It's not like I was gonna pocket it.
I know. And he sort of looks at you for a moment and he goes, "You're not the only one with a sense of humor, Mr. Wayfair."
Did you just admit that you think I'm funny, Bertram?
No, you think you're funny. And I think it's funny to do funny things to you when you think you're funny.
I can agree with that.
Galen's sort of just blankly staring off into the distance.
Mhm.
Your room, sir, as well, I made sure you had the one with the extra large bathtub. Lione said you're a fan?
Yeah, I'm a fan of the water.
Ari blushes a little bit. Just it flashbacks and it's just oh no. For a quick second.
Chris is just trying to hold in a bunch of giggles because she thinks this whole thing is hilarious. She's just silently laughing to herself.
Bertram is still looking at Galen and he goes, "So shall we call this an impasse, Mr. Wayfair?"
We'll
Not like
call
a
it an
tie.
impasse.
Very good, sir. And he sort of gestures towards all of you and says, come, I will take you to your rooms. The first room is Griss's. Griss, this is where you woke up this morning, where Bertram so dramatically carried you down the stairs from. It looks like your sheets have been changed, the bed covers arranged ever so neatly. Someone has provided a bundle of dried herbs. You recognize them as herbs for sleeping, and has left them on your pillowcase.
Gris kind of shuffles in and like quickly goes to the herbs and gives them like a nice whiff, and then like slowly kind of like rubs them against her pillow and just kind of like straightens up and says, "Thank you, Bertram."
You are quite welcome, miss. Please let me know if you feel unwell. I am not particularly versed in healing, but I can get here someone here very quickly.
Gris kind of waves her hand and she's like, I just needed a little sleep. I'm feeling much better.
Very good, ma'am. And he sort of like looks at you for a moment and takes looks at the lit sconce on the wall, well out of halfling reach, blows out the associated candle, and travels towards the armoire, removing a sort of portable candle dish with a candle on top, and lights it before placing it on the bedside stand, easily accessed by a woman of smaller stature.
Gris beams, and she's like, that was so thoughtful. Thank you.
Sleep very well, ma'am. And he sort of like walks back out to the waiting party. Across the hallway is Ariadne's room. Ariadne, you stayed here last night. It looks that the room has been cleaned. It doesn't really seem like they've done much, seeing as you don't really sleep in beds. However, you do notice that someone has taken a large flat pillow and placed it up against the wall. There's also a small serving tray on which sits a glass filled with what appears to be whiskey. Bertram says, I thought perhaps a nightcap.
That's very thoughtful. I appreciate it. Sorry for keeping you up so late.
I hardly sleep to begin with. And he nods his head and says, if you need anything at all, yell.
I just look at him and I'm like, I mean, I can do that, sure. I like throw it back at him like, if you need anything, I don't technically sleep either, I guess.
Well, shall we say another nightcap around 4? And he like looks like he thinks he's very funny.
Yeah, I just like give like a and just like look at him like, yeah, that sounds like a to date.
All right then. And he nods again and sort of awkwardly returns to Galen and Lione. He looks to Galen and he says, your room is this way. And he takes you down the hall to the same room you occupied last night. Your sheets have been changed. The bed has been made. There's a glass of water on the nightstand, and it sounds like the bathtub is being filled. He looks at you for a moment and says, I've taken the liberty of removing anything shiny from in here, just in case of magpies.
Oh yeah, those pesky magpies. They really can do a number.
Oh, and, there's piece of mail. This subscription service that Lione got.
No.
I thought it might interest you more. And he takes an envelope, and it's still sealed, and he hands it to you, and he says, a peace offering.
Thank you, Bertram. Oh, by the way, do you happen to have any parchment and ink that you can spare?
Yes, sir. There's some in the desk over there. He sort of points.
Thank you.
Very good, sir. And he ducks his way out of the room, closing the door behind him. He looks at Lione.
Lione says, "Thank you for being awake right now and for dealing with everything. Bertram, I don't know. For once in my life, I don't know what to do."
Well, dear. I'm sure the course of action will come to you.
Can you make...
And
Oh, no,
you'll do the right thing.
I hope so. I'm beginning to wonder if I've done any of the right things so far. Can you make tomorrow morning special? I think I heard Gris saying it was her birthday at the bar. And
Yes,
she hasn't told any of us. And I'm a bit bothered about it, quite frankly.
Well, as you know, I am quite adept at planning surprise parties. I planned your 5th, 7th, and 12th birthdays.
And they were the best.
Thank you. Your mother thought we should throw a ball for a 5-year-old.
It's a bit much, really.
Yes, well, she wants the best.
Of course.
And, Lione, whether or not the decisions we make are the right ones isn't for us or anyone else to decide. And it doesn't change how much the people who care about you care about you.
Well, I think
it doesn't make anyone all the less proud of you.
Thank you, Bertram.
And if you need anything that a butler might be good for, you know where to find me.
I do.
Right. Now, I had something of a date night myself that was interrupted.
Sorry, also gross.
I apologize, Miss LaBelle. I shall make very sure to plan something special for your friend.
Thank you.
You are quite welcome, Miss LaBelle. And he steps into the shadows and fades from view, leaving you alone in the hallway of your home. Your heartbeat is slow and steady. And as you stand there, you can feel through the doorways that line the hall something akin to the feeling of magic when you reach out for it, but it's very different. It feels like there are long strings attached to your body, pulling at you as your friends move about in their rooms. You glance down and you see ephemeral long red strings. They tangle together and twist and pull, and you can't quite tell where each one leads, but as you look down, one snaps, and another pulls so tight that only the barest of threads holds it together. We will be back next week with more Tabletop Tavern. We're going to have our Season 3 finale next week. Might be a little bit of a longer episode. We will be having a special guest as well. So be sure to come back next week at 6 p.m. MST, 8 p.m. EST. Also, feel free to drop your theories over in the Spoilers and Theories channel in our Discord. Be sure to check us out on YouTube if you haven't caught up and you're like, I don't know what's happening, but it seems intense. And be sure to follow us on Twitter for them good memes and me hitting on myself in the comments. So, yeah, we'll see you all next week. We will be back with a familiar friend. And until then, take care of each other, be good to each other, and yeah, be sure to check in. Let us know what you thought of the episode. Thank you so much for being here. Bye, everyone.